Hi, my name is Matthew Brace, and I'm a therapist here with Counseling Services at ASU. And what I want to do with this video is share some insight into some of the interventions that I encourage students to practice when they become emotionally flooded, anxious, or really just dealing with anything that they find unpleasant and oftentimes unavoidable. So what I'll go over, it comes from acceptance and commitment therapy, which is commonly known as ACT. ACT was created by Stephen Hayes and is mainly focused on being present, honoring your values, and committing to action steps that move you towards a meaningful life. The focus of this isn't to get rid of these unpleasant thoughts or feelings, but rather learning how to make room for and respond differently to these unpleasant experiences that we all carry. I'll go over two activities with this video, and I credit both of these activities to Russ Harris, who is a well-respected ACT therapist, trainer, and author. The first metaphor is to help you understand the difficulty that we all do in an effort to get rid of unpleasant thoughts, feelings, and memories. The second activity is going to be more of a useful skill that you can engage in when you are starting to notice that you're having these unpleasant experiences and you want to get back to the present moment and you want to re-engage in the life around you. So this activity is called dropping the struggle. And essentially it's a metaphor to help you understand what we usually do to try to get rid of these unpleasant experiences, these unpleasant thoughts, emotions that we usually have. It's also meant to help you understand why our efforts to do so usually don't work and oftentimes make things more difficult. So for this activity, all we need is a piece of paper. This piece of paper is going to represent anything you find unpleasant. So it could be unpleasant emotions such as worry, anxiety, uneasiness. It could be unpleasant thoughts such as I'm not good enough, I'll never achieve, bad things only happen to me. It can also represent unpleasant experiences you've gone through throughout your life. So essentially it's all the things we don't want to experience anymore. We just want to get rid of. That's going to be this paper. What's going to be around us is going to represent anything that adds meaning to your life. So that can be places you enjoy going to, people you enjoy talking with. It could be activities that really bring a lot of fulfillment to your life. That's going to be everything around you. So essentially the metaphor is what we're told, and this can come from family, friends, loved ones. At times it can even come from therapists and psychologists. But we're told all this negativity, just get rid of it. And we're told that in ways such as, oh, just don't worry. Just don't think about that. Take all that negativity and leave it in the past. So when we follow that advice, we try to do it. So we're told, don't worry. This represents worry, so I'm not going to worry. So push the paper in front of you because this is representing our effort to not worry anymore. So I recognize I'm worried and I'm trying to get rid of it. Now, as we're doing this, keep in mind what's in front of us represents things that add meaning to your life. So if I'm at lunch trying to have conversation with friends, but I'm focused on something that's bringing me worry and I'm trying to get rid of it, it's really hard for me to engage in that conversation with friends at lunch. And I'm putting so much effort into getting rid of this worry that I want you to notice within this metaphor, notice that your arms are getting tired. There's tension as I'm trying to kind of push this away. My shoulders are getting tight, and the longer I do this, the harder it's getting to really push it away. But that's what we're doing. I'm trying not to worry, so I'm getting rid of it. I'm pushing it away, but I can't engage. So rather than doing this and getting rid of these thoughts, I want to teach you to drop the struggle. So potentially take all this and just drop it. Set it in your lap. And as you do that, I want you to notice a couple things. Notice the difference it makes by just dropping it. The physical difference I feel in my arms, it's much lighter, much less effort to kind of do the things I want to do. It's also not distracting me from having conversations with friends at lunch. I can be more engaged in the conversation. I can pay attention. Now, most importantly, I want you to keep in mind that all that negativity, all those unpleasant thoughts, they didn't go away. They're still a part of you because they're on your lap. But now we have a new way of responding to it. So we've made room for all these unpleasant experiences that we were previously trying to get rid of. We made room for it, we've set it down, it's still a part of us, but now we're able to engage in things that are around us. So again, this is just a metaphor to kind of drop the struggle from what we usually do and make room for it. The next activity is going to be more so of a useful skill. So after we drop the struggle, what can you do to stay more engaged in the world around you? So let's go over the grounding skill, which is referred to as dropping anchor. Dropping anchor is essentially coming from a metaphor of a boat sitting in a harbor. If a boat is sitting in a harbor and a storm is going to come through that night, the boat is going to just drop an anchor. And the reason it does that is because the storm is going to come and it's going to bring big waves. And with an anchor dropped, the boat's going to go up and down with those waves, move around a bit. But that anchor is meant to keep the boat steady as the storm comes through. If the boat doesn't drop an anchor and a storm comes through, the boat runs the risk of slamming into some rocks, getting some damage, drifting out to sea, and there's more harm because an anchor wasn't dropped. So let's take that metaphor and apply it to our own life. In that metaphor, we as humans, we represent the boat. The anchor is going to be the grounding skills we implement when storms, which are going to be emotional storms, come through us. So this happens all the time. Something in our daily life will trigger us and it brings up these unpleasant experiences, these thoughts, these feelings, these memories, and a storm curve starts coming. And when that storm comes, if we're not prepared and we don't start to respond accordingly by dropping anchor, it's going to take us for a loop. It's going to be really hard and it's going to seem like the storm is getting worse and worse. But let's go back to the metaphor. We can't control the weather. So it's the same thing. We can't control emotions that are going to take over. We can't control these thoughts. What we can control is how we respond to it. So I'll break it down a little bit further of what dropping anchor actually looks like. So to remember the skill of dropping anchor, acceptance and commitment therapy, it developed an acronym which I refer to as ACE. A is going to be acknowledge your thoughts and feelings. C is going to be connect with your body. And E is going to be engage in the world around you. So let's start with the first part of acknowledging your thoughts and feelings. And what that means is when we start to drop an anchor, we start there. Acknowledge, what are we feeling? What are the thoughts that are going through our mind? We may tell ourselves, you know what, I'm starting to notice I'm worried, starting to notice some anger is building up. You know, I have these thoughts about not being good enough. What is showing up in this moment? You may notice some physical symptoms. I'm starting to feel this tightness in my chest. My shoulders are getting tight. Have a little shortness in breath. All we're doing is just acknowledging that anything that's unpleasant, these thoughts, these feelings, they're here, they're present, and I'm acknowledging that they're here. So the next part with ACE is going to be connect with your body. And essentially what this means is we're going to just come back into our body. We may do this by, moving our arms, taking big stretches, just getting up, kind of walking around, moving our shoulders. I like to kind of put the hands together and kind of push them back and forth, kind of move our shoulders, move our arms, kind of clench some muscles, relax them. And why we do this is we're taking control of our physical actions, things within our control. And importantly, if we are feeling this tightness in our chest, we're going to assume that's very consuming and there's nothing we can do about it. However, as we're coming back into our body, it's important to notice a couple things. First, we notice what we're doing, how we're taking control of it. Most importantly, we notice this tightness in the chest, it didn't go away. We're noticing that there's a body around that tightness in the chest. We're connecting with our body. We're acknowledging that it's there. We feel it. We're starting to take control of our actions so that we can continue on this grounding skill to get to a place of being more present. The last part of ACE is going to be engage with the world around you. This is not meant to distract you from any of these unpleasant experiences, thoughts, feelings that you're having, because remember, we've already acknowledged them, we've named them, we've made room for them, we've noticed where we're being impacted in our body with physical sensations, and we've noticed that there's a body around those feelings that we're having. So the best way to engage in the world around you is to notice things through your senses. So sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. Notice what's happening in this present moment. For me, I'm a really visual person, so I like to kind of use my sight to pay attention to some things. So as I'm speaking, if I were to look above the camera, kind of look out the window, I notice, palm trees, I see a cactus, I see a variety of bushes, and some are starting to blossom as it's spring. You see some life kind of coming back. If I were to really pay attention, I can hear some cars driving by. I can hear some birds chirping. I look into the sky and it's completely clear blue sky. I don't see any clouds. So as I'm doing that, I'm paying attention to what is in this present moment. And why we do this is because we still want to engage. We still want to show up to things that are important to us. And this is allowing you to live your life by honoring your values. You just made room for these things that are unpleasant, but they're not stopping you from engaging in the life that you want to live. So again, ACE, we want to acknowledge your thoughts and feelings, connect with your body, and engage in the world around you.